There is a movie with Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out and from Black Panther. Probably seen him in a bunch of other things. He's the voice of Hobie from Across the Spider-Verse, Spider-Punk. He is going to be in a Barney movie that's coming out. You're like, there's a Barney movie coming out? Yes, there is. I think it's still being shot. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to double check on that. But there was an interview where he was talking to, I think it was Variety, and he was saying that it is more adult focus, which he was saying it's not like it's going to be rated R or anything, but
it's close, isn't it? It kind of goes to that border.
There's I can pull it up. He was saying that it was surrealist, kind of almost like a Charlie Kaufman or Spike Jonze movie. And it said it's really a play for adults. Not that it's R-rated, but it'll focus on some of the trials and tribulations of being 30-something growing up with Barney, just the level of disenchantment within the generation. I guess the director was saying that this is what we'll probably get into a bit, because this is from Mattel, which also is doing the Barbie stuff, and that the director was saying or I can double check that if it was the director or not. An executive was saying that Mattel is here to make art, which is
look. Here's the thing: they're not gearing these movies for kids. Their markets are, so they are making art in a way.
Sure,
yeah.
And then it was also just quote unquote A24
Yeah, that's right.
And I think this is interesting for a couple of reasons. I think it sounds ridiculous on paper.
Yeah, for sure.
But so does the idea of the Barbie movie being ridiculous. No, I get it. But so was the Lego movie, and that turned out to be great. I
think it's a good, fun kids movie.
But
I don't think it's in the same vein as is what Barbie movie and this movie will be.
But Lego movie. If you were we're making a movie about Lego, people were just are you kidding?
Why?
And it turned out to be one of the best movies that year when it came out.
Sure. Probably best numbers wise.
What do you mean number? It was a great movie.
I think it's good. I don't think it's great.
Regardless. I think it's great. Okay. I think it's a great movie.
Okay.
I think I was telling you, the cynic part of my brain goes, they're making these movies so they can kind of boost up their product, and that's a way to get sales. But like you were saying, the Barbie movie, as much as it is a pop cultural big movie that is clearly getting a lot of traction, but I think part of why it's getting the traction is, there's the big Barbie name, but also because of how the movie is being presented and what it's kind of being and how much fun they're having with it. There is a part of me that's when they say they're making art, it is this weird thing where I'm but it feels like it's something that's to boost sales and product, but all that's what it's saying here is points to the fact that they really are making art and making their own movie. Because if you're making a Barney movie that's apparently geared more towards 30 somethings and is going to be surrealist, right, and quote unquote A24, which you can say A24, but that doesn't mean it's going to necessarily be like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to trust them that there's some idea here, and I hope it's good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it's interesting that this toy company is let's make avant-garde, let's put the director Greta Gerwig of Lady Bird and Small Women or Little Women and have her do a Barbie movie. I'm okay, cool.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like it's more of just a smart move not to like boost their like the sales of their toys or anything, but I feel like they know that the adults of today, the late 20s and 30-year-olds, like they all grew up with these products like Barbie and the 8-Ball movie that's coming out, that's like a borderline R, like a rated R movie, like horror movie maybe. And then you have like,
which I like that idea.
Sure,
by the way,
it's neat. And then you also have like the Hot Wheels movie that's like supposed to be like a gritty racing movie, and you're like, okay, so like these are all brands that we grew up with. I think they're, the themes of these movies are geared towards adult audiences now, and we're the ones who are going to see movies these days. Like I feel like a lot of what has happened in the last 20 years too is that like everything has become more adult like marketed. Like it's like in the 90s and early 2000s, it was very like, let's market everything for kids because that's who's like driving, parents to go do certain things.
Which they still are.
Sure, but like everything is a little more adult centered today, like fast food chains and whatnot. And I feel like this is going right in with that, where like let's not market these movies and make them for kids. Let's make them for adults who like actually are going to the theaters and want to spend their money on a movie.
I agree, but I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Maybe I don't entirely agree, but I think part of why that is I think we are collectively everybody perceives the world in a more serious, darker tone right now than even 10, 20 years ago. And maybe that has some effect to it. But what I also want to throw out is maybe this is the same like nostalgia. Like, hey, they love nostalgia. They love things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm kind of going.
But if you're gonna give me nostalgia,
right,
give me it in a way that it's like artful.
Right.
And if that's what this is, cool.
Right. Like that's geared towards adults our age. Right.
If somebody like that's what was it like when we were getting the story of like of Tetris being made,
right,
or the story of the hot Cheeto, right?
Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Yeah. And I heard good things about that, by the way. And Air, a movie about sneakers. Like,
right, that's a dad movie.
Give us interesting stories about these products that we know, and they have a good story to it. That's been a new thing, and I'm down with this if this turns out to be a new trend that people are like, hey, what about making artful depictions of toys
these, right,
and kids characters from our past. So and by the way, I mean, I'm imagining that this Barney movie could potentially make people cry in a weird way.
I mean, it might bring back like,
I think it's gonna bring back like the wonder of things to these disenchanted 30-year-olds who now
I could see that
can't pay off their call it like their student loans, and like have to live at home still or whatever, Yeah,
I could see it really being a heartbreaking like, hey, we had a great time as kids together, but you gotta let go and grow up, like that could really kill everybody in the theater.
And the more that I think about it, I do think that this Barbie movie, as much as people are like, oh, it's going to be so much fun, I do think that it's going to like emotionally actually make some people like cry. And I do think that it's going to be quite effective.
Huh. Yeah. I didn't expect that.
I do think that this movie, like along with, I think when we see Oppenheimer and Barbie, I think they're both going to be very well put together, actually like affecting pieces of, I think it's like a Trojan horse. I think people are like, oh, let's go see this movie. That's going to be so fun.
Right.
And everyone's going to be like, oh shit. Okay. It'll still be fun, but I think,
Yeah. I think that's going to be a good way for the movie to find success.
Yeah.
Yeah.